You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, it is Monday, January 14th, and you are listening to iCannabis Radio. My name is Georgia. What's up, folks? I am here in the studio with my favorite producer, Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
And, of course, Sam, who also works at the studio. What's up, Sam?
Hey, Georgia. How are you?
Good, thank you. For some reason, even though we came back from our 2-week hiatus last week, I feel like I have not been in the studio in forever. It's such a weird feeling. I don't know what it is, but I'm just, I'm feeling like I have to reacquaint myself to everything, and, you know, it's just, anyway, maybe it's because I had a birthday between the last show and this show, and I'm now a little older, a little grayer, a little slower. That must be what it is. But anyway, welcome, everybody, and we have... you know, I always say we have a great show, but you guys know how I feel about Steve Elliott. I enjoy conversations with Steve Elliott so much. He is, and I've told you guys, I have a little crush. That Southern accent just gives me shivers. But he's so smart and so funny and so interesting and has such a good perspective. But on top of that, like, the man says what's on his mind, and look out if you're in the way of that, or if you disagree with him, because he's got you. He's got you. So we will talk to Steve after the first commercial break this evening, and we'll have him through the rest of the show. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's happened since the election in both Washington State and Colorado. And in Colorado, again, the sky hasn't fallen. There aren't, you know, hippies laying in the street, whatever. I mean, you know, it's just another day. It's just another day. Unfortunately, today is not just another day in the world of medical marijuana activists. Unfortunately, Lori Burnham from Montana, a 66-year-old medical marijuana activist, passed away today. Her lung cancer metastasized to her bones, and Lori left us. She is... it will always be a wonderful voice for medical marijuana in general, and especially in Montana. She died, I'm sorry, did I say today? I apologize. She died on Thursday. And she had, in addition to her lung cancer, she also had glaucoma and emphysema. And she had been using medical marijuana to ease her pain and stimulate her appetite since her cancer diagnosis, and that was over 5 years ago. She was interviewed by the Associated Press in October and told them during that interview that she preferred marijuana over other medications because it allowed her to function and interact with her family. And this quote is phenomenal. Lori Burnham says, and I quote, "I want to enjoy the time I've got with my family, eating and laughing." She said, "I just want some comfort and peace, and I'm entitled to it." And to me, that sums up what we all feel about legalizing medical marijuana and marijuana in general. That here is a woman who, in her 60s, started using medical marijuana, and did it because traditional pharmaceutical medications were not working for her and were not allowing her to be present, to be with her family, and to live out her days doing what she wanted to do, which was eat and laugh and enjoy her family. So she was very active when Montana's legislation passed the bill that eliminated compensation for medical marijuana providers and reduced the number of patients to whom they can distribute to 3 patients. And she said, anyone who says I can grow my own marijuana doesn't understand. I'm sick and it isn't necessarily an easy thing to do. Under this legislation, there's no way to even obtain seeds or plants. Honestly, it seems the system is made to work against us, not for us. I think that's one of the things that I think is so interesting when people say, well, you don't necessarily need to have stores available. I mean, people can grow their own. It's a weed. They call it weed. It's a plant. Why not just grow a plant? And the fact of the matter is, in order to grow the amount and the quality, the quantity and the quality of medication that people need, a couple little plants doesn't do it. It's a daily activity. You have to pay attention to those plants every single day. And if you're sick, infirm, busy, you don't have the space for it, you can't grow it. And I've had lots of people come into MMD of Colorado saying, wow, you know what, I tried to grow my own and man, it was just too much work for me. And, what was I going to do when I was going to go on vacation? And, I've got plans to take care of. People,
it's like
dog. Yeah. I mean, you can't just call a babysitter,
Well, maybe.
One day that could be a great business. One day that could be a great business. So Lori Burnham, we thank you for your bravery, and we thank you for standing up for what's right. And our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. You will not be forgotten. So appreciate that so very much. So kind of on a lighter note, did you guys watch Miss America?
I didn't watch it. No.
Really? You didn't watch Miss America? Chris, did you watch Miss America?
No.
Because I'm pretty sure it was on at the same time as playoff games.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it was at the same time of playoff games. So Miss Iowa, bless her heart. Well, actually, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I'm not a big fan of beauty pageants. Like, I just kind of don't get it. But whatever. I mean, people do it and they make money and they get scholarship money and those kinds of things. And that's fabulous. I don't understand the competitions that they have. They have like a ball gown or something competition, right? Where they walk around in a pretty dress, fabulously objectifying women. And then I'm not sure if they still have it, but they used to have a swimsuit competition. Fabulous, walking down down the runway in a bathing suit. Thank you, objectifying women. And people are voting them on them and rating them how well they, I don't know, can use double-sided tape so that their butt cheeks don't hang out. I don't know.
Is that what they do?
Oh, you don't know that trick?
I don't know
Okay,
that.
so here's the girl trick everywhere. So if you have some sort of dress or something that has the potential to move around on your upstairs, yeah, you double-sided tape where you need it.
Oh.
And if you don't want something to move around on your downstairs, you can do that too.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, things you learn on Monday nights on iCannabis Radio.
I'm going to look for that.
Yeah, I've got. I'll share my double-sided tape. Actually, I don't have to worry about that. But anyway, so another thing that they do is they have these question and answer periods, and the girls are given some question, and they're always kind of nice feel-goody kinds of questions, a little bit political maybe. Give me your feeling about this, or what do you know about that? And if you remember a few years ago, there was some poor girl in one of these competitions who gave like the worst 3 minutes of her life as an answer. And it was quoted everywhere, and she was completely and utterly humiliated, and everyone thought she was stupid. And then she went on to kind of refute how stupid she looked, and she sounded stupid. It was just awful, and I felt so terrible for her. And I have no doubt that she's a bright girl, and she's got a bright future and all those kinds of things, but she will forever be known as the girl who said, and Osama bin Laden, whatever. It was horrible. So fast forward to this past weekend where the Miss America competition asked yet another trendy political question, and they asked it of Miss Iowa. And we are going to listen to Girlfriend's response. Are you ready, Chris? Okay.
All right, your question will be asked by Bradley Bayou.
Marijuana is by far the most frequently used illegal drug in America. But now voters in 2 states have supported legalization for recreational use. Is this the right direction for our country?
I think that depends on the situation. I personally know people who have had to go to medical marijuana for their last resort for their health care, and I completely agree with that. However, I do not think it should be used for anything but recreational use in health care.
Woo!
Thank you very much. Miss Iowa, Mariah?
She was going one way.
So right. So Chris, we're gonna play it again, if you don't mind. So the question is a great question. Yeah. Okay, it's a great question. And I don't know where he gets the quote from, that marijuana is the most heavily used illegal drug. I don't know where that is, but you know what? I would guess that it's true. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. And goes on to say, is this right for our country? Yeah, okay. Right, is this the right direction? Is this the right direction for our country? And let's nitpick a little bit about Miss Iowa. Chris, can you play it one more time?
All right, your question will be asked by Bradley Bayou.
Marijuana is by far the most frequently used illegal drug in America. But now voters in 2 states have supported legalization for recreational use. Is this the right direction for our country?
I think that depends on the situation. I personally know people who have had to go to medical marijuana for their last resort for their health care, and I completely agree with that. However, I do not think it should be used for anything but recreational use in health care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ms.
Okay.
Iowa, Mariah?
So Freudian slip, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean,
Does she just make a nervous slip?
I think so.
You guys think nervous slip. I mean, I think she made a nervous slip also, although man, if you're at the place where you're in the Miss America competition, you ought not be nervous when asked those questions. You ought to have a pat set of sentences and statements that you want to say that make you sound smart. Depends on the situation should never be a way to start anything when someone's asking your opinion. Oh, no, it kind of depends. Well, no shit, it depends. They're asking you to sound intelligent and to sound thoughtful.
Yeah,
depends on the situation. So then she goes on to say that she's known people who've had to resort to medical marijuana. What do you guys think about resorts?
I have to resort to it. It's like, I think I use resorts. I had to resort to Oxycontin, to resort to something that is bad for me.
Against everything else, against your better judgment, you had nothing to do, but you had to do this thing, right?
People should have their own choice.
People should have their own choice. So what I think is so interesting, though, is while she's trying to say, in my opinion, the way that I interpret her answer is, yeah, you know what? I certainly don't want to be on the Miss America competition saying that I'm pro pot smoking, because that probably isn't the most popular answer to give, and I may not win this competition. However, I know people who have tried everything, and they had to do something out of the norm, which is use medical marijuana for their health care. And what that says to me is that people, if that's indeed true, and we have no reason to believe that she would lie on the Miss America competition, but if that's indeed true, then there's a whole cadre of people, maybe like Lori Burnham, who would never necessarily think about using marijuana until they get to the place when they're so sick that they have exhausted everything else, all of their other possibilities, and they use medical marijuana because it works, because it's non-harmful and non-addictive, as Laurie Burnham says, you can eat and laugh and enjoy your family. So while we're all tee-heeing at this poor girl for making a slip, in all honesty, it's a fantastic slip. It's a fantastic slip because for her even to know the word recreational, which of course she was quoting from the question as well, but for that to click with her means that she's heard about what's going on in our state of Colorado and the state of Washington, and that's newsworthy. And we've yet made inroads into another demographic, into another group of the population that we need to in order to finally make the steps that will ultimately change this on the federal level and those incremental changes that we need to make to get there. So really, I mean, to be honest, I had her on because it was funny, but I think it's important. I think it's really important that we recognize that marijuana is becoming really, really mainstream. Yeah. The question was asked on the Miss America competition, and she answered it, and she answered it in a way that wasn't horrible. I mean, her slip was whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't. Like she didn't sound stupid. She just kind of went the other way.
Yeah.
She didn't say anything that wasn't true.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, I thought it was funny. I know that we need to take a break, and after our break, we're going to call our friend Steve Elliott, Toke of the Town Steve Elliott in Washington State, and we're going to talk about marijuana, and I think we'll probably talk about some marijuana. And then when we're done with that, more marijuana. So we'll be back right after the break, and we'd like to thank our sponsors at Cuffle Collmore and Company. If your medical marijuana center or grow is interested in any kind of product liability insurance, slip and fall, Cuffle Collmore is the one who can write your quotes. They'll be happy to talk to you about all of your needs. In fact, they also have crop insurance. Did you know that if your grow goes up in flames, guess what? Your crop is not covered by the majority of policies. But Cuffle Collmore can help you get crop insurance. Really, really important. They can also help the majority of folks get the liability insurance. And liability insurance is more than just if someone falls down in your business, but if someone gets sick off of your product, that can be covered as well. So be sure to call Bob Collmore at Cuffle Collmore and Company. Email him at rtc@iwic.net. That's rtc@iwic.net. We'd also like to thank our friends at Noto Urban Garden Supply, your urban garden center for all of your hydroponic garden needs. So now that you're in Colorado and you are thinking about growing your own, the best place to do it is to go to Noto Urban Garden Supply and ask their expertise. Ask them what kind of supplies you need, and they'll be happy to help you out. They're located at 1330 27th Street between Larimer and Walnut Street, right down the block from MMD of Colorado, Castleman's, and Mad Hatter Smoke Shop. And be sure to tell them that you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. They are open Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's Noto Urban Garden Supply, 1330 27th Street, NODOUrbangardensupply.com, and check them out on Facebook. We'll be right back.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
You're listening to Georgia Edson on iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Georgia, and we are about to call my friend Steve Elliott. And I am, can you see, Steve Elliott is a whole bunch of things, but he's also, we lost me, the author of this fantastic book. Can you see this? I'll do it a little bit closer. Woo, owie, the little black book of marijuana. You can see this is my copy. Hang on. Yeah. if you don't have this book, if you've never read this book, then you are really missing out, because it is super easy read, but really, really informative, and gives you great information. But even more importantly, if you have someone that's on the fence or doesn't understand a lot about marijuana, this is a great book to have them read. It gives them enough information so that they can make thoughtful, informed decisions. And it's full of truth and not propaganda. So yeah, I strongly recommend The Little Black Book of Marijuana, The Essential Guide to the World of Cannabis by Steve Elliott. He's pretty wonderful.
Hello?
Hi, this is Georgia from iCannabis Radio. Is Steve around?
I hate to tell you, but he's not.
Okay, should I call his cell?
He's not available right now.
Pardon me?
He's not available right now.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Bye.
Oh, okay, poor Steve. Well, we'll go ahead and try his cell just for kicks and see if he's able to answer that. And if not, I will go ahead and we'll try him the next time. We'll try him another time for sure.
Can I get that book at the tattered cover? Is that?
I got this directly from Steve. I'm not sure if...
I've never read it and I want to.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have it at the tattered cover. We can ask...
Nope.
All right, well, we will talk to Steve next time. That is not a problem. That happens. So I'll tell you a little bit about his book this time. The Little Black Book of Marijuana has some chapters on marijuana history. So it gives a good introduction on history. And then there's a health chapter. So how does marijuana impact your health? There's chapter 3 is entitled, Should Marijuana Be Legalized? There's a cultivation chapter. Then it talks about the specific medical uses of marijuana, other uses of marijuana. It actually gives, I'm going to go to this page, it gives marijuana recipes, which I think is great. Hang on, especially for folks who have never tried edibles before, and they don't necessarily live in a state where you can go to the store and purchase commercial-made edibles. So it talks about how edibles kind of came to be, and then gives an explanation of an old ad for hashish candy, which of course everyone sells now. Let's see, what else? Gives basic bud brownie recipe, so everyone kind of thinks quintessential marijuana food is a brownie. And it talks about that. What it doesn't talk about is how to make the butter or make the oil. It's and it's just a matter of spending time doing it. You got a crock pot, you've got some trim, and there you go. So brownies, and then firecrackers. Classic. And then what else? Peanut butter cups. Get butter. Get it. B-U-D-T. Get it. Butter. Chris, do you get that? You don't get it. You don't get it. Oh, that's cute. That's cute, though. It does talk about how to make ganja butter. And then... coma cookies. Eat one cookie and wait an hour to gauge the effects before eating more. And then it talks about the next chapter is about strains of marijuana, and it gives a little explanation of the difference between a cannabis sativa and cannabis indica. Helps people understand that. The book is just fantastic, and it's an easy read. It's a small little book. And then final chapter is marijuana culture, and then it has a whole bunch of resources in the back and gives a little explanation of who Steve is. And so it's just a great book, and I strongly recommend. You can certainly message Steve Elliott on Facebook, and he'll be happy to get back in touch with you. So yeah, there we go. So I have a couple other little newsy things today, and one of these things I wanted to talk about with Steve, but I guess you guys are a great second choice. You guys are a super plan B. So remember when a while ago, I want to say it was this summer, there was a report that came out that talked about how those kids who started using marijuana early showed a drop in IQ points.
Did it say how early?
13.
13?
13.
I remember something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So it was, they had taken a group of people who lived in some town in New Zealand, and they did a longitudinal study. They took their IQ test at 13, again at 18, and then I think again at 39. And all of the folks that showed early and consistent use of marijuana showed a decrease in their IQ from 13 to 38. So interestingly, a report came out the other day, marijuana study trying teens' pot use to IQ drop is flawed. New analysis is challenging a report that suggests regular marijuana smoking during the teen years can lead to a long-term drop in IQ. The analysis says the statistical analysis behind the conclusion is flawed. The original study reported last August included that more than 1,000 people who'd been born in the town of Dunedin, New Zealand. Their IQ was tested at ages 13 and 38, and they were asked about marijuana use periodically between those ages. Researchers at Duke University and elsewhere found that participants who reported becoming dependent on pot by age 18 showed a drop in IQ scores between ages 13 and 38. The findings suggested pot is harmful to the adolescent brain, the researchers said. So it's a self-report that the person said that they were dependent upon pot, and they looked at just their IQ scores as numbers, no other factors. An analysis published online Monday by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences says not so fast. Ole Rosenberg of Ragnar Fitch Center for Economic Research in Oslo says the IQ trend might have nothing to do with pot. Rather, it might have emerged from differences among the study participants in socioeconomic status, or SES, which involves factors like income, education, and occupation. He based his paper on a computer simulation. He traced what would happen to IQ scores over time if they were affected by differences in SES, again, socioeconomic status, in ways suggested by other research, but not by smoking marijuana. He found patterns that looked just like what the Duke study found. In an interview, Rosenberg said that he's not claiming that his alternative explanation is definitely right, just that the methods and evidence in the original study aren't enough to rule it out. He suggested further analysis the researchers could do. The Duke scientists who learned of Rosenberg's analysis late last week say they conducted new statistical tests to assess his proposed explanation. Their verdict, it's wrong. Rosenberg says they need to do still more work to truly rule it out. Experts unconnected to the two papers say Rosenberg's paper doesn't overturn the original study, but it raises some interesting points and possibilities. It provides speculation rather than new data based on real people. Well, of course, because all he was attempting to do was to say, could there be other reasons why these IQ scores dropped from age 13 to 38? Is the only factor marijuana use? And you know, I mean, I bring this up not because I think that this says something like, oh my gosh, we should definitely start allowing kids to smoke marijuana, because none of us think that's a good idea. I mean, you know, let's wait till kids can make good, wise, educated decisions, and that's not when they're 13, 16. I mean, for some people I know it's not when they're 25, but we have to have an age somewhere. So we're certainly not saying that this is the information that you want to use to be able to overturn any thoughts about letting children use marijuana recreationally. But to me, it kind of is interesting because clearly Duke wanted to make that analogy. They wanted that marijuana use to be the factor that affected IQ score. I mean, I don't know how socioeconomic status affects your IQ score, but if your IQ score is based at all upon worldly knowledge as opposed to intellectual deduction, then certainly if you have less access to information and you aren't constantly kind of exercising your intellectual thought, then certainly, your socioeconomic status, if that's the reason for it, could certainly play a role. So it's just interesting. It's just interesting. And a study of 1,000 people, it doesn't even say of that 1,000 people, what number of them said, I'm sure the study does, but this information doesn't. I don't even know what the number is that said that they were dependent upon marijuana by age 18. Is it a small number? Is it a bigger number? It certainly isn't. If there's only 1,000 participants in the whole study and the number of people who said that they were dependent upon pot was less than that, statistically that's not a very large number. And I don't know that particular study does anything other than makes us scratch our heads. Unfortunately, people who are hardcore opponents of marijuana use that to say, we've got to protect the children, we got to protect the children. So, it's just interesting. It's just interesting, as is, studies and statistics in general. But, there you go. There you go. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break. After the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's happening in the news. We are sponsored today, of course, by Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds. They have some of the best clone selection in the state. You can always check out their website, mmrockies.com. That's mmrockies.com for their ever-changing strain selection, as well as the clones that they have available. They're located in Frisco, Colorado, off of exit 203, right behind the Big O tires. So, it's the height of ski season. It's freezing out there, but we're getting some good snow and we're ready. And so when you're up in the mountains getting ready for a great day or you're on your way home, please, please, please stop by and see Jerry and Aaron at Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Make sure that you mention iCannabis Radio and they will be so happy to see you. That's Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds, and we'll be right back.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Georgia, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio. So sad that we didn't get to talk to our dear friend Steve Elliott tonight. Hope that all is well with him, and we'll be able to talk to him soon. One of the things that I think is interesting, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's happened since the election, both in Washington State and here in Colorado. So what's happened? What's happened in Colorado? It's been signed into law, and so now I don't have the Article 18 something point something something. Amendment 64 became the new article in our Constitution, and people haven't gone crazy.
Yeah, I haven't seen any change.
There's no craziness.
No.
There's no craziness. And obviously that's not a surprise for us at all. It's one of those things that medical marijuana has paved the road for people who either didn't care or were on the fence about marijuana legalization. And now, well, this recreational is now paving the way, because right now today in Colorado and in the state of Washington, responsible adults everywhere are exercising their right, their choice to smoke marijuana. and they're not doing it in front of small children on the street anywhere. They are not committing rapes and murders anywhere. I mean, these things are not happening, and it's such a relief. Not that I thought it would be anything different, but it's like, if people can just watch and see what is happening, and what's happening a lot is that the state of Colorado is spending lots of time and money holding task force meetings to be able to start putting together the rules to enact 64 completely. So the rules around recreational stores and grows and all the things that those pieces touch. So some of the biggest questions are there going to be state-run marijuana stores? Are we going to get rid of the idea that a private entity can run a store? Or are we going to be like the 16 or 17 other states that have state-run alcohol stores? So that's kind of up for discussion right now. The other things that they're curious about is making a THC limit like they have in New Jersey. And I'm trying to remember if Michigan has that as well. You know, it's really funny. I was talking to a grower the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, best of luck telling a plant to just stop producing percentage of THC. Just quit right there. Stop it. Stop it."
Oh, you passed.
Yep. No more. No. I guess we'll have to throw you away. And so it's just, you know, those are the discussions that are happening. What are the things that we should put in place to ensure public safety? You know, all of those kinds of things those are the discussions that are happening. There isn't some crazy big increase in crime. The police departments aren't super busy. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do in their municipality around the retail stores. And it's so interesting to me when the retail stores are what's regulated, that counties who are worried about public safety are even considering banning these retail stores. I mean, it makes no sense to me. So you don't have access in the retail market, so that means you're going to grow your own, which is all well and good. I mean, that's fantastic, but home grows have the potential to be dangerous, not because marijuana is dangerous, but because there are high wattage lights and electrical issues, and you just have to be really, really careful. And so hopefully people you know, are getting an electrician to come in and do all of their lights and those kinds of things. But really, I mean, if a city council or county board is worried about marijuana, then you would think that they would want to regulate the living crap out of it. That's what I would think. That's what I would think. But, you know, what do I know? I've only been doing this show for a couple of years and talking to hundreds of people about marijuana, and, you know, what do we know? But yeah, that's the kind of thing that's happening in Colorado is our government officials are taking this so seriously, and it's amazing to sit at these meetings because they're all open to the public. So all of the subgroups, as well as the task force itself, are open to everyone. Everyone can go and give public comment at all the meetings. The times of the meetings are published. They're supposed to be published, from what I understand, at least I think it's 48 hours in advance. I don't think that's happening, but I mean, you can go to these meetings. I mean, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And I encourage you, if you are listening in Colorado and you have the ability to go to the main task force or to any of these subcommittee meetings, get up and let your voice be heard. You don't have to say much, but your presence there lets people know that this is a really important issue to you. There was a woman who is a mom, and she spoke at one of the subcommittee meetings last week, and she thinks that people voted for legalization because it would help kind of fix all the things that are wrong with medical marijuana. She thought the medical marijuana system was quote unquote crazy. And I don't know what that means. I didn't talk to her afterwards at all. But she spoke out of just fear and concern. And I hope part of what we do is that we're able to put some money into educational campaigns. People still struggle with, what's going to happen if my kid uses marijuana? Does that really mean that they're never going to go and get a job because marijuana makes you lazy? Or, is there something wrong with my kid because they smoke marijuana? My 21-year-old in college is smoking marijuana. Is that a problem? I understand people's concerns, but it comes from lack of information. And so, that's part of why we're here on iCannabis Radio. But we do a lot of preaching to the choir around here, If all of you folks listening could maybe get 2 or 3 people who are intimately involved in this community to listen to one of our shows one time, I think that would be incredibly helpful and moving. Let's educate people. We have this new show coming up starting on the 28th. I was going to talk about it later, but I'll just mention it. In the Lab with Jennifer Murray from Can Labs. It's a science-based show, and it's going to be a really helpful piece of information for folks. They're going to learn a lot about what testing means, what testing is, what happens when things get tested, what do those numbers mean, and why do you care about that? And so I just think it's going to be a great new addition for sure. So anyway, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because we're going to take one more break, right? One more break. But I just wanted to give one more piece of news before we go into our last segment. So Washington, D.C., medical marijuana is legal, which is amazing. Do you guys know how they make their, Congress has to okay their laws in the District of Columbia. It's fantastic. But marijuana attorney says he'll make the ballot in D.C. Paul Zuckerberg, a district attorney who wants to decriminalize marijuana, said Monday that he is the first candidate to turn in enough signatures to qualify as a candidate in the April special election for a seat on the D.C. Council. In a statement, Zuckerberg said he turned in 3,091 signatures from registered voters to district election officials, 91 more than required. Based on past elections, Zuckerberg may not have turned in enough signatures to withstand a possible challenge over the validity of his petition. D.C. Elections Board officials often turn dozens or hundreds of signatures for being invalid because they come from someone not on their voter rolls. We've seen that happen here. Mindful of his narrow margin, Zuckerberg said he plans to continue collecting signatures through next week when he plans to submit an updated total. So far, 20 candidates, including interim council member Anita Bonds and Republican Patrick Mara, have announced plans to run in the April 23rd special election for the citywide at-large seat. Potential candidates have until January 23rd to gather the required signatures, which can be a cold and grueling process during the winter. It's widely expected that multiple announced candidates will fall short. Zuckerberg, 55, is an Adams Morgan attorney who specializes in defending marijuana possession cases. He plans to argue during the campaign that the district needs to engage in a serious discussion about decriminalizing marijuana, arguing that many residents are drawing criminal records. If he qualifies for the ballot, Zuckerberg will also campaign on improving education, a more sustainable transportation network, and ethics reform. So pretty exciting that in D.C. we've got a district attorney who wants to run on a platform decriminalizing marijuana. So hell is freezing over somewhere right about now. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about 10 facts about marijuana. Be right back.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706. Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com. You're listening to Georgia Edson on iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, that's me. How are ya? Little Run on Grass update. It's cold and we still run, just so you know. This weekend in City Park in Denver, we'll be participating in a 10K. 10K, that's 6.2 miles, just in case you were wondering. And it's going to be much warmer than it's been. But it is a 10K that is designed to give someone something to look forward to after they've made a New Year's resolution to get out and exercise and keep running. This is a race to help with your resolve. So that's what we'll be doing. As promised, I wanted to give you 10 facts about marijuana. This is from the Drug Policy Alliance, and I love this stuff. So fact number 1, most marijuana users never use any other illicit drug. So the whole idea of the gateway drug, not true, not true. People don't say, wow, I really like the calming, relaxing effect of marijuana. I think I'm going to start using methamphetamines. That's not what happens. You're going to shoot up heroin. Marijuana does not cause people to use hard drugs. Marijuana is the most popular illegal drug in the United States. Therefore, people who have used less popular drugs, such as heroin, cocaine, and LSD, are likely to have also used marijuana. Most marijuana users never use any other illegal drug, and the vast majority of those who do try another drug never become addicted or go on to have associated problems. Indeed, for the large majority of people, marijuana is terminus rather than a so-called gateway drug. Fact number 2. Fact number 2. Most people who use marijuana do so occasionally. Increasing admissions for treatment do not reflect increasing rates of clinical dependence. According to the Federal Institute of Medicine in 1999, fewer than 10% of those who try marijuana ever meet the clinical criteria for dependence, while 32% of tobacco users and 15% of alcohol users do. According to federal data, marijuana treatment data.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. I think I want to say data.
I say data.
I think I want to say data. I think that's, yeah. According to federal data. I like that. Marijuana treatment admissions referred by the criminal justice system rose from 48% in 1992 to 58% in 2006. Just 45% of marijuana admissions met the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, DSM, of mental disorder criteria for marijuana dependence. More than a third hadn't used marijuana in 30 days prior to admission for treatment because they weren't going to treatment because of their marijuana use. Number 3. Number 3 is claims about increases in marijuana potency are vastly overstated. In addition, potency is not related to risk of dependence or health impacts. You hear that all the time. Oh, that medical marijuana, man. Oh,
it's not like
that'll,
your dad's.
It's not your daddy's marijuana. That's for sure. That's right. It's not like what we had in the 60s.
I thought so. It's not. It hasn't like gotten better.
Well, I don't know that they did a whole lot of testing way back when.
But it says like it doesn't because it's gotten better. Or if it has, it doesn't lead to dependence. Well, yeah. Right. It wouldn't. Why would it lead to that?
Higher THC doesn't. It's not like an increase in nicotine will increase your dependence on cigarettes. Higher THC level doesn't affect your
medicated quicker, I guess.
That's right. Although marijuana potency may have increased somewhat in recent decades, claims about enormous increases in potency are vastly overstated and not supported by evidence. Nonetheless, potency is not related to risks of dependence or health impacts. According to the federal government's own data, The average THC in domestically grown marijuana, which comprises the bulk of the U.S. market, is less than 5%, a figure that has remained unchanged in nearly a decade. In the 1980s, by comparison, the THC content averaged about 3%. Regardless of potency, THC is virtually non-toxic to healthy cells or organs and is incapable of causing a fatal overdose. Currently, doctors may legally prescribe Marinol, an FDA-approved pill that contains 100% THC. The Food and Drug Administration found THC to be safe and effective for the treatment of nausea, vomiting, and wasting diseases. When consumers encountered unusually strong varieties of marijuana, they adjust their use according and smoke less. Go figure. Go figure. Fact number 4. Ready for fact number 4? Marijuana has not been shown to cause mental illness. Some effects of marijuana ingestion may include feelings of panic, anxiety, and paranoia. Such experiences can be frightening, but the effects are temporary. That said, none of this is to suggest that there may not be some correlation, but not causation, between marijuana use and certain psychiatric ailments. Marijuana can correlate with mental illness for many reasons. People often turn to alleviating effects of marijuana to treat symptoms of distress. One study performed in Germany showed that marijuana offsets certain cognitive declines in schizophrenic patients. That's pretty huge. Another study demonstrated that psychotic symptoms predict later use of marijuana, suggesting that people might turn to the plant for help rather than become ill after the use. Number 5, marijuana has not been shown to increase the risk of cancer. Several longitudinal studies have established that even though long-term use of marijuana via smoking in humans is not associated with elevated cancer risk, including tobacco-related cancers or cancers of the following sites: lung, melanoma, prostate, breast, cervix. A more recent 2009 population-based case control study found that moderate marijuana smoking over a 20-year period was associated with reduced risk of head and neck cancer. And a 5-year-long population-based case control study found that even long-term heavy marijuana smoking was not associated with lung cancer or upper aerodigestive tract cancers. Fact number 6. Marijuana has been proven helpful for treating symptoms of a variety of medical conditions. We know this. Marijuana has been shown to be effective in reducing the nausea induced by cancer chemotherapy, stimulating appetite in AIDS patients, and reducing intraocular pressure in people with glaucoma. Intraocular pressure in people with glaucoma. There are also appreciable evidence that marijuana reduces muscle spasticity in patients with neurological disorders. A synthetic capsule is available by prescription, but it's not as effective as smoked marijuana for many. Fact number 7. Marijuana use rates in the Netherlands are similar to those in the U.S. despite very different policies. The Netherlands drug policy is one of the most non-punitive in Europe. For more than 20 years, Dutch citizens over the age of 18 have been permitted to buy and use cannabis in government-regulated coffee shops. The policy has not resulted in dramatically escalating marijuana use. For most age groups, rates of marijuana use in the Netherlands are similar to those in the United States. However, for young adolescents, rates of marijuana use are lower in the Netherlands than in the United States. The Dutch government occasionally revises existing marijuana policy, but it remains committed to decriminalization. All right, we're almost done now. Number 8, marijuana has not been shown to cause long-term cognitive impairment. The short-term effects of marijuana include immediate temporary changes in thought, perceptions, and information processing. The cognitive processes most clearly affected by marijuana is short-term memory. In laboratory studies, subjects under the influence of marijuana have no trouble remembering things they learned previously. However, they display diminished capacity to learn and recall new information. This diminishment only lasts for the duration of the intoxication. There is no convincing evidence that heavy long-term marijuana use permanently impairs memory or other cognitive functions. You don't black out on marijuana. You black out on alcohol. Sleep on marijuana. Number 9, there's no compelling evidence that marijuana contributes substantially to traffic accidents or fatalities. At some doses, marijuana affects perception and psychomotor performance, changes which could impair driving ability. However, in driving studies, marijuana produces little or no car handling impairment, consistently less than produced by low to moderate doses of alcohol and many legal medications. In contrast to alcohol, which tends to increase risky driving practices, marijuana tends to make subjects more cautious. Surveys of fatally injured drivers show that when THC is detected in the blood, alcohol is almost always detected as well. For some individuals, marijuana may play a role in bad driving. The overall rate of highway accidents appears not to be significantly affected by marijuana's widespread use in society. And number 10, ready? More than 800,000 people are arrested for marijuana each year, the vast majority of them for simple possession. Police prosecuted 858,408 persons for marijuana violations in 2009, according to the FBI's annual Uniform Crime Report. Marijuana arrests now comprise more than one-half of all drug arrests reported in the United States, 52%. A decade ago, marijuana arrests comprised just 44% of all drug arrests. Approximately 46% of all drug prosecutions nationwide are for marijuana possession. Of those charged with marijuana violations, approximately 88%, that's 758,593 Americans, were charged with possession only. The remaining 99,815 individuals were charged with sale and manufacture, a category that includes virtually all cultivation offenses. Stop the madness. So if you want to read this or more interesting facts about marijuana and other drugs, please go to drugpolicy.org. That is the Drug Policy Alliance's website, and you'll find these 10 top facts about marijuana on there as well. So we are getting to the end of our evening tonight, and I just want to give you guys a little heads up on what's going on iCannabis Radio. So as you know, tonight is Monday night, and I will be around next week. And next week is our cannabis history lesson with Greg Dower. Always a fun time. And then tomorrow is Sexpot Radio, and they're doing a time change. Is that starting tomorrow?
Yeah, 7, I think. It's 7 to 9.
7 to 9 tomorrow. All right, 7 to 9 on Sexpot Radio with our friend Jenny Cush. And on Wednesdays, as you know, is once a month, iDab Radio. Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m., we have the Hemp Connoisseur, their video magazine, and then Overgrow the Radios from 7 to 9. And as I said, next week we have our show, and then the week after that, on the 28th from 3 to 4 p.m., we'll have our brand new show in the lab with Jennifer Murray of Can Labs. So be sure to check it out. It'll be a fantastic new show. I would like to thank this week's sponsors: Mile High Wellness, Noda Urban Garden Supply, Edson Maton and Mats, Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, Cuffle Collimore and Company, Medical Marijuana 101, Run on Grass, and my great producer, Chris. And we've had a really fun night tonight, and we'll see you later. Bye, Sam. Thanks. Bye. Good night. Ooh, wait. Sexpot's on from 6 to 8. Sorry. Jeremy just let me know. From 6 to 8, not from 7 to 9. Bye. 6 to 8.